Hello, hello again. Welcome to another episode. I am Adeolua, and I like to call this the musings of a sanguine Christian woman. I have a Twitter handle is at Adeolua888. Ade is ADE in small letters. Olua is OLUWA in capital letters at Adeolua888 on Twitter. At Adeolua on YouTube. At Adeolua A on Facebook. And I believe it's at Adeolua on TikTok too. Yeah. Like I just signed up on TikTok because I wanted to share content, not necessarily because I want to see what is going on there, although a lot seems to be going on there. I mean, I'm seeing stuff on YouTube. I'm like, wow, where is this when I just open TikTok? Like they just show me people dancing, people parading, and I'm like, okay, that looks nice. Thank you, but where is the substance? Where people talk about books they've read and what they learned from it, talk about the issues that matter, But hey, I guess I have to find them, not have them handed to me as soon as I get on TikTok. Yeah, so that is like a game of distraction, if you ask me. Like, you look at that, you get distracted and be like, oh, let me watch this for a few moments. And then what you really came there for, you just kind of forget. An interesting ploy. Probably one of the reasons why I don't like TikTok. But that's another topic for another day. In this episode, I'm going to talk about the Igbo-Culture. The Igbo-Culture, the Igbo people of the southeastern part. Location, I mean, they're everywhere, of course, but like home base, let's put it that way, like home base, headquarters. Their headquarters for now, their headquarters is southeast of Nigeria. They have branches, they have zones, they have regions in different parts of the world. Yeah. Let's just say this. I admire them a lot. Does that mean they don't have their flaws? No, but I don't make it a point of talking about people's flaws, you understand? I mean, geez, I'm trying to work on mine here. So why should I harp on other people's... Let's just talk about the good stuff, okay? Unless, of course, the bad stuff is beginning to intrude with the good stuff, then we can talk about it. But if people are actively working on this stuff, you're working on yours, I'm working on mine, we're all working on ours, no reason to talk about it. It's already known and it's been handled. No need to nag about it, right? Right. It's when people are being proud of the wrongdoings that you be like, wait, hold on. Are you for real right now? Yeah. So I want to talk about, and you see, I'm an Ijebu woman, okay? I am not Yoruba. Okay, some Ijebus, especially the millennials and probably Gen Zs, although I think Gen Zs are a pleasant surprise sometimes. Sometimes you think they don't have a brain in their heads, but they surprise you, which puts a question mark on the mindset of millennials sometimes. Like, why would we even think that they are not wise enough to know the difference between facts, opinion, and truth, right? Okay, so I'll just say some people, especially between the millennials and indeed the Gen Zs, they see Ijebu people as Yorùbás, and they're into these, oh, let's get together and be all right thing. But if you are following Ijebu's history, not as a whole, but pockets of experiences all over, you will notice that there is a kind of, it's like there's an attempt to marginalize Ijebu people, right? If you're observant, that is. If you're not, you will not see it. You will just think our grandparents and our great-grandparents are exaggerating when they tell you don't marry other Yorùbás, don't marry from other Southwesterners. Let me just put it that way. And you think, oh my God, they're so prejudiced. Oh yeah, sure. Well, you may do it, and then you'll find out why they told you not to. You understand? I mean, some people must learn from their experiences, apparently. So, whatever. I, on the other hand, I have no intention of having to experience something before I can learn from it, especially if it's not even a new thing. It's something that has happened before. Why can't I learn from what has happened before? That's not where I'm going, but I'm giving you a little basis on my standpoint on this whole thing. Now, back to the Igbo people who I want to talk about. Like I said, I admire them. Okay, there are rumors about them that I like not to believe, but I also keep in mind to be careful. I mean, they have one of the canine families. I don't know whether it's a leopard or a tiger or a jaguar that they have as their animal symbol. You see their men wear it as a traditional shirt, or so they call them that for a reason. It's written, it's their symbol for a reason, and let's just say some of them have it in them to devour in different forms, but I think mostly the symbol is about their courage, and though they might be haunted, they are also hunters in other ways. But again, that's not where I'm going. Where I am going is this concept that some Southwesterners have about being able to encroach on other people's culture. What do I mean? When they say things like Igbo sell their daughters, I mean, why the hell would you say something like that? Like, why? Why would you say that? I mean, I know why, but can you be honest about why? And I'll tell you why you say that. Because you know that Igbo women are, when it comes to aesthetics, when it comes to beauty, they are like the most preferred beauties. I wouldn't say the most beautiful, because although it does look that way, but beauty, they say, is in the eye of the beholder, right? But I would say they are the most preferred beauty in present day Nigeria. Most preferred, whether they are dark skin or they are light skin, they just have this mesmerizing beauty about them. They are very graceful. You understand? They have this grace and this mannerism about them that is so soft, so feminine. Yeah, that's the word. They are gracefully feminine, and they are mesmerizingly beautiful. Even when they are being, even when they raise their voices, which is rare, even when they raise their voices and they revolt or protest, or it kind of comes out looking cute. Though you would rather not have that, a repeat of that again. You understand what I'm saying? You just learn to behave yourself normally. You get? Right. So they're like the most preferred. And because they're the most preferred, some Southwesterners who prefer them are angry because they can't just have them for free. So they try to gaslight the Igbo people with this chanting of, and when it comes to gaslighting, Southwesterners know how to do that thing. Oh, they know how to do that thing. How I know? I see different ways they blackmail people into giving up trade secrets. Now, as a Nigerian, you will understand, you will know this dish called ewagoyin and wanke or wakie, as some people will call it. You know, during the late 1990s into the early 2000s, there was a rumor that was circulating among Yorùbás that the Agoyin people were using charm and voodoo and dark magic to make their ewagoyin. And it discouraged some people, probably a lot, from buying from them again. Their reason for saying that their food is always sweet, delicious. It's, like you eat their beans and your stomach is not rumbling, which normally happens when you cook beans. Like, for the life of me, no matter how I prepare these beans, it might be delicious, of course. That is not the deliciousness of the beans that is the issue. Although, frankly speaking, there is the deliciousness of ewagoyin, and there is the deliciousness of whatever recipe you have. That is nice, but ewagoyin is ewagoyin. Ewagoyin, well made by the agoyins themselves. Only the beans. Sometimes you will finish the beans before you even remember there is a sauce in it. Is that good? The sauce, lovely. The beans itself, lovely. And you eat it and your stomach is normal. I remember eating an ewagoyin once. I know I'm talking about Igbo people, but I'm just trying to tell you that this is not an isolated situation. I remember eating an ewagoyin. My stomach was just not feeling well that day. And usually I have something I take to calm my stomach. It wasn't working. It looked like I might purge, but my stomach is also rumbling, like it was crazy. And the Holy Spirit, I believe, of course it's the Holy Spirit, said, buy ewagoyin. I saw the woman going, like, I met her, like, I was getting to a junction, and I met her coming. A same junction I went to go and get what I would drink for what is going on in my stomach. And buy ewagoyin, I'm like, ewa, beans, why? So that, I might just scatter everywhere. So I start purging. I don't think so. But in an act of faith and obedience, even though I was scared, I bought the beans. I bought enough to feed me well. I didn't buy a little. I bought enough to feed me well. And I said, God, please, I believe you are the one who spoke to me. Let this thing work. And as soon as I ate it, that stomach, and that stomach I was like, look, let this stomach thing calm down a little before I can eat. But something, go and eat these beans that I asked you to buy. So I went, ate the beans. And before I could finish it, the stomach pain was gone. My stomach went back to normal. Like, oh, what on earth do you guys use to cook this thing? Now, I'm not saying that out of spite. I'm saying that out of admiration, which obviously some Southwesterners lack. Hence the rumor that they put voodoo, because not only is it delicious and unique, it's also healthy in so many ways. Like, you don't get into trouble for eating it. Let's just put it that way. So, and they sell a lot. It's a popular dish. Like, they sell. It is a popular, very popular dish. Ewagoyin is like when they carried out their small pots, their cast iron pot, before mid-morning, they are sold out. Like, they come out early, and probably in less than 2 or 3 hours, they are sold out. It is that good. And yet, rumors began to circulate. Now, I not already knowing the dark side of Southwesterners. They have their good side, but that's not what I'm talking about today. I not knowing that, I thought maybe it must be true. So I too withdrew. I was a little reluctant, but at some point I'm like, you know what? Who else do I know is putting charm in their food? If I'm hungry and I need to eat and I'm led to eat this thing, I'll pray over it and eat it. Then I noticed that all of a sudden there were more people cooking wakie or wanke, and they were going. This beans, this lovely, delicious meal by their goings. I noticed that more people were into it. Okay, where was I? All right, sorry about that alarm. I noticed that there were more people, Yoruba people to be specific, beginning to sell it. And I noticed that as they began to sell it, that rumor mysteriously disappeared. Now, them selling it, needless to say, it became downgraded. After they began to sell it, after it became less exclusive and more quote and unquote inclusive, you have people who would not pick beans. You would eat ewagoyin and every spoonful has stone in it. But because you have eaten ewagoyin for a long time and no stone, no dirt, is always so clean, you'll be like, who made this? You just know that there has been some aliens that have invaded the ewagoyin zone and they are making a mess of it. I mean, sometimes I will pick it and I will see the shellings of beans in it. I'm like, what the heck? Do you even rinse these beans before you even cooked it? I think they just thought mastering the sauce was all there is to it. Then you had people who began to economize to the point that I myself discovered the secret, which I'm not going to say, some of it, not all. Like, I was like, so this is what they put in it. And I thought, leave it to people who steal or appropriate other people's culture. We're going to talk about that one of these days. Those who steal other people's culture, including their food, and don't respect the way the food is being prepared. And they do it in such a way that the secrets begin to unravel. It's like wanting to be a gift wrapper, and you wrap the gift in such a way that I can see what is in it, because you did not use enough wrapping paper, or you didn't use the right wrapping paper. That's how this thing is like. Like they just Oh, and did I tell you that rumor about champ? Because obviously the people who started that rumor are the ones now selling it alongside their goings. So the rumor died down. After all, if it continues, they wouldn't sell either. And I was like, what the heck? What a very wicked maneuver. So you start a propaganda against people so they can tell you their trade secrets so that you stop demonizing them. Wow. That is a nasty thing to do, a wicked thing to do actually. But that was not a one-off event. Another one happened, but I'm not even going to talk about that one that happened. So that happened to their goings. Now, the Igbos I was talking about, I know I digress, but I assure you they are related. And it is odd that, they would do this thing to at least two different cultures. But I admire the Igbos again for not caving in and giving their daughters out for free in order to prove. That is what they are trying to do. Like, so that you want to prove that I'm not selling my daughter, I will waive all the cultural protocols to prove that I'm not selling my daughter. Ta. Like they will say, ta. They did not fall for that. Until today, like the Igbos, we say every AK market day. I hope I said that correctly. Somebody on Twitter, on social media is going to bring that up. And when you look at the profile name of the person who brings it up, it's always a Yoruba person. It's always a Southwesterner. No, I don't see any Northerner doing that, because when Northerners do their weddings, it's always lavish. So I guess I don't think they have a problem with it, because I think they have something similar in their culture as well, where you give gifts, lots of it, to the groom, to the bride's family. So yeah, I mean, they do it in a different way, of course, but so I don't think they have a problem with that. It is these same Southwesterners that I'm sharing space with that are thinking that way, and I'm like, what the heck? Do you actually think you can gaslight your way into getting everything for free? You get trade secrets for free. You also want to get women for free. How bad? How wicked can you be? And you are doing it with impunity. Like, next thing you watch, in the next few days, somebody is going to bring that up. Look at the amount of money that they are asking for bride price. Dude, if you can't pay it, leave it. The thing about Igbo women is that they don't stay long on the shelf. They don't even stay on the shelf, period. There are enough men among them to marry them. It's just that, and you know what I look, I think Igbo men should lock their gates against, especially Southwesterners that are going to be poo-pooing, let me put it that way, on their culture. You know, it's not as if you don't know, but yet you found yourself, you decided to fall in love, in quote, with an Igbo girl, thinking that she would go against her family to have her for free. They have a culture. Whatever name you want to call it, you respect a girl's culture. You see, this is why I like historical movies, because they bring about cultures that are meaningful and you see it for what it is. Right? I remember watching Judah Akbar, and the emperor married the Rajput princess in her custom, and then married her in his custom. So they had two weddings, one in her custom. So everything, every rites that needs to be to be done to marry a Rajput princess, he fulfilled it. And he also married her in his culture to protect her as well. Because if he doesn't marry her in his culture, the negative people in the Mughal Empire are going to consider her an illegitimate wife or something. But now he's married her. She is not half a wife, whether in her culture or in his culture. So if you really love a woman, two things: if you cannot afford to pay the price to marry her, indeed, and to honor her among her people, you either save up for it or you leave her for somebody who can afford to. It's that simple. That is if you mean what you say when you say you love her. And I will give you my understanding of it, because I remember having this conversation with an elder, an Ijebu elder, and she was telling me that we don't collect bride price and all because we don't want our daughters to be disrespected. We don't want men to think that because they quote and unquote bought their wives, they can treat them anyhow. And I said, but there are, but the but there are a lot lots and lots of Southwestern women who are being abused in their marriages. And their husband did not pay bride price. So you see, a person who will be abusive will be abusive. If he got her cheaply, he will abuse her because he got her cheaply. If he got her at his personal expense, he's going to say he's taking it out on her. So the bottom line here is not whether you collect bride price or you do not collect bride price. The bottom line is that man a good man or a wicked man? If he's a good man, it doesn't matter the price he paid to marry her. In fact, he will value her more because everything he has put down, just about everything of value, material value that he has in order to get her. So he looks at her, he sees her as everything that is valuable to him. And that, I believe, is the concept behind the bride price of the Igbo culture. And the Bible talks about something interesting that I think applies in this situation, though it's not what Jesus meant. But then again, Jesus did not really explain that per se, so it's left to your interpretation as a person. He says, where your treasure is, there is your heart. So if your treasures are being invested in somebody, chances are your heart will be there. Because your investment, your treasure is in this person. Right? If we're going to go by that statement that Jesus made, and I believe that's what they had in mind, that if a man cannot give up his money and his substance to get the woman that he wants or claim he wants, then he doesn't want her enough. That's their belief. I respect it. I understand it. I understand it. Like, so when people say things like, oh, they sell I'm like, can you not be so offensive? I mean, I know you're offensive, but can you not be so offensive? Like, how dare you say something negative about somebody's culture? Like, can we begin to dissect yours right now? Like, can we begin to even let's throw yours down and begin to dissect it? You who don't sell your daughters, you have son-in-laws that beat up your daughters as if they are slaves. Treat them as slaves, despite the fact that they were not bought. Has it occurred to you that maybe, just maybe, because you gave your daughter out for free, you didn't require anything from your son-in-laws, they now regard your daughters cheaply? I mean, your daughter is likely to be more respected if a man has to pay a high price to get your daughter than she is if you receive nothing or require nothing before giving out your daughter. Obviously, they didn't think about all of those things, those nuances, and the fact that they will sit down and practically, it's like they beg. Sometimes Southwesterners is like they beg men to marry their daughters. I mean, first you don't collect bride price and say, oh, I don't want to sell my daughter because I want you to understand that her value is not on money. As I was saying, has it occurred to you that maybe the reason why your sisters are being disrespected is because no effort was made? You just give up your daughter cheaply. You cannot just... I think we understand to a level that when it comes to men, if they don't have to give up anything to get something, the chances of them valuing that person is kind of very low. It takes a highly a man with a high level of humanity, if there's a word like that, whose humanity transcends above that that is almost in the divinity, a man who is almost divinity. It takes a man who is almost divinity to not be affected either by, I got her without paying a price, or I got her paying a lot of price, paying so much. Like, you don't let that influence you. You are not getting a property, you are getting a woman, a human being, someone who is supposed to be the bone of your bone and the flesh of your flesh, right? At least she becomes that when she becomes your wife. One would assume that you would treat her well. Whether you paid money for her or not. But you see, a wicked person, whether they pay money or they don't pay money, whether they brought yam or they didn't bring yam, whether they bought clothes or they didn't buy clothes, they will still be wicked regardless. And I think the Igbos understand the psychological game that some Southwesterners are playing. And it gets to a point where no matter how much money you even have, they would not even want you to marry their daughter. How about that? Because they don't trust you. And why should they? Do you even trust yourself? Do you? Do you even trust yourself? There is a statement called Yoruba demon for a reason. And it's not a myth. Unfortunately, it's not a myth. It's not mythologies. It's breathing and living. Seeking whom it may devour. For free, apparently. So all this talk of will sell their daughter. Quench it. Maybe you should stay on your lane. I mean, what is wrong with what is wrong with the women that are not being quote and unquote sold? They are not beautiful enough for you. If they are not beautiful enough for you, then stay alone. You understand? Just stay alone. You leave your culture that has its own beautiful women, and you go to another culture. And then you are demanding that they give you their daughter according to your own customs and not theirs. Who the hell do you think you are? Hey. No, who do you think you are to encroach on people's culture like that? It will get to a level where if you are not Igbo, they will not allow you, they will not even give you an audience. If you like be a trillionaire, they will not even give you an audience. And they will now give their daughter to somebody who probably doesn't have as much money as you do. Because you are becoming insolent and disrespectful. And they will not give their daughter to somebody who is insolent and disrespectful. You have to respect elders. Especially elders of the family. Because if you are disrespectful to them, they will not agree to give their blessing on that marriage. And for an Igbo girl, she values the blessing of her family, the elders, and the community. I've also noticed that women, Igbo women, some of them who defied all of these things, they are paying a high price for it. They went for love. And they got disdain, disrespect in return. Now, of course, it's not all of them. It's not all of them who waived. And, in a situation where they waive some of these customs that costs a fortune a lot of times, it is because the man is humble enough to say, I can't afford it. Can I do this? Which one is the most important I can do now? And then I'll be doing it in installments. Or they negotiated. Do you understand? Like, I want enough to be able to take care of my wife when I marry her. But I don't have the amount to. So which one do I do first? Which one do I do now? And you negotiate, you talk with the elders. Unless they want to make it difficult for you not to get their daughter, they would agree. But if they want to make it difficult, they will not agree. Because sometimes that exorbitant price is their way of saying, we do not want to give you our daughter. Because they don't like you. For reasons best known to them. It might not be your fault. It might be the fault of somebody who comes from your village or who comes from your culture that disrespected theirs. And now they see you and they're like, oh my God, here they come. And because they don't want to be blatantly, quote and unquote, tribalistic, they just give you a long list, hoping that you would not pay it and run away. You better believe that if they want their daughter to marry someone, oh, the story will be different. Very different. So you have to impress them. They raised that girl to be somebody that you want enough to marry. She did not raise herself. So you have to honor the community that has raised that girl to be preferred to you, even above the women in your culture. But if you are going to act like the Lord of the land, when God is still alive, then please just stay in your culture. Just stay in your culture and marry one of your own. Yeah? That you people understand each other. But don't go around mocking and gaslighting other people's culture. It is bad. It's bad in tastes. It is rude, uncouted, unruly, and a disgrace to the dignity that is attached to the African culture and indeed the black race. So please don't go about making all of us look bad before you see shege, because there is cause and effect. If you go about making Southwesterners look bad, you will get your own judgment soon, and nobody is going to share it with you. Let's behave ourselves and act like people that are well raised and well mannered, and stop embarrassing your culture all over the place. That's why I just removed myself from this Southwestern thing. We may share a region, a geopolitical region, but that's about it. Please, I'm an Ijebu woman. I don't understand the concept of being Yoruba. Like, the more I find about the Yorùbás, the more I can't relate. I just can't. I may be able to speak the language, but that's about it. I can't speak the language beyond the tongue. There's so many things about it that I just look, I'm like, I don't agree to this. I don't. So if I find myself being repelled about some norms of the Yoruba culture, I think it's safe to say I'm not Yoruba. And I'm proud of it. I'm Ijebu. People with my mindset, there are many in the Ijebu kingdom. There are many that we think the same way. Unless the bad Ijebus, the good Ijebus will never condemn another person's culture. They might just tell you, be careful not to go there. But if you must, this is what you have to do. When it comes to diplomacy and wanting to maintain peace, we like to do that. Because we have a way of getting our rights. A relatively bloodless war, if you may. So if you are acting out against our interests, like you have your interest, then you are now trying to steal our own interest again. We will not shout with you. Why would we? Why would we? When there are more ways to deal with a cat, huh? I mean, why would we? It's not necessary. You just find that we get what we want and some things are happening. But you can't accuse Ijebu people of doing anything. I mean, what would you say we did? Exactly. Because for you to even talk about what we did, assuming you even have evidence that we did it, you have to talk about what you did. And since what you did is bad and will implicate you, all you can say is Igbo people are they are terrible people. Okay, thank you. we understand what you mean in more ways than one. Yeah, we do. There is a saying that the girl is good or the boy is good at Palunjebe. That means the girl is good or the boy is good that person is a footmat. And Ijebu people, we do not like to be footmats. So yeah, if we are bad people because we don't like to be footmats, well then, whatever. All right then, guard your hearts with all diligence, for out of it flows the issues of life. Whether you know it or like it or not, you are your brother and your sister's keeper. So show love just because. They that know their God, they shall be strong and they shall do exploits. And God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. Well, be safe. Choose to do the right thing. And choose to be at peace. Be real.